Okay, good evening everybody. Welcome to the Haverhill Town Council meeting on Monday the 28th of October 2024. Welcome to everybody. Moving forward to the agenda, item 1 is apologies. I beg your pardon, I the script. Good stop. Okay. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Town Council and where possible live streamed on YouTube. Please note that the recording device is sensitive and the live stream may be recorded by third parties. So do not say anything you do not want recorded. If necessary, I will direct all recording in the room and the live stream to be stopped. But generally, I want to avoid doing that. So we will normally record everything except any items taken in closed session. Members of the public may also make their own recordings, but must follow our rules to do so, including stopping recording when requested. Whilst we do not accept anonymous speaking at the public forum, members of the public who wish to speak but do not want their name published must please indicate this before saying your piece. Thank you. Right, so item 1 is the apologies notice.
Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Davidson, Councillor Lucarini, Councillor Page and Councillor Simpson.
Thank you very much.
Chair, apologies also from Councillor Roach.
You're absolutely right, yes, he did give us apologies, thank you. And also so did Councillor Sauer from the County Council.
Can I also just mention that I'm going to have to leave partway through? I was there for
okay, thank you. Item 2 then is declaration of interest and request for dispensation for members to declare any interests they may have on items on the agenda and agree any dispensations to stay. So A is the disposable pecuniary interest, other registrable interests or non-registrable interests. So do we have any? No, that's a no. Thank you. Item 3 is the minutes of the meeting of the Town Council held on Monday the 30th of September 2024 and to confirm that they are a true record. So they're on the screen now, hopefully you will see them anyway, but you can just go through. This is 1 and 2. 4. And that's it. So, can I have a proposer? That's Councillor Andre and seconder. Councillor Smith, all those in favour? That's carried. Item 4 then is to note that progress of actions arising from the minutes not covered by the agenda. So,
yeah, we're still working on that to get the dates down. Obviously, it's quite a lot of people to arrange. Councillors will have noted there was some correspondence over the weekend between councillors just highlighting some bits about annexes still. Yes, and the second bit, of course, Councillor Mason result got there before I could act, so he'd already got Quakers Lane agreed upon, so that was sorted. Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Roach, when he gave his apologies, he did include a short report. He said, apologies for tonight's meeting, a quick update on the Stirling Road Chorlton Way junction. All of the white line work has been ordered, which should make the giveaway and roundabout markings clearer. I've asked for consideration to remove the 40-mile-an-hour section from the bypass along Stirling Road down to 30 miles per hour.
Thank you. item 5. Very pleased tonight to welcome Saffron and Sarah and Kay from Reach to tell us all about the work they've been doing. So, Saffron, I don't know how you want to do this, if you want to sort of come to the front here, or...
I might shut the door and then I'll just stand at the back. Is that alright?
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm not. Okay, yes, we'll just introduce ourselves first. So my name is Saffron, I'm the Engagement and Advocacy Lead at Reach Community Project.
I'm Kelly, I'm a volunteer at Reach.
I'm Sarah and I'm also a volunteer at Reach.
So we work together on a project that we'll go into a little bit more detail, but overall sort of aims to tackle poverty locally. So if you would mind just moving on. So as many of you may know, our overall aim at Reach is to lift people out of financial hardship and poverty. So we do that in a number of different ways, whether that's through debt, budgeting advice, we help with emergency food, client aids, or helping people with benefit applications to receive the money that they're entitled to. We could just move on to the next slide. Thank you. So our sort of overall strategy is based on the 3 Ps. So prevention work, what falls under that is the budgeting in schools, the cooking classes, to hopefully prevent people from falling into financial hardship. Policy is the work that we work on, so working with local councils, districts, county-wide, to inform decision-making, influence decision-making, to ensure that people in our communities are supported and lifted out of poverty. And our council topic is the campaign which focuses on income maximisation, so helping people receive the money that they're entitled to through our team of income maximisers. Next slide, please.
Great, thanks everyone. So as you all know, that tackling poverty isn't just something that one person can do, it's a global challenge, a national challenge. So there's already organisations across the globe that continue to sort of help tackle poverty, and we kind of use as a helping hand. So if you could move on to the next slide, please. So I don't know if you guys know about a foundation called the Joseph Rowntree Foundation. They kind of work to sort of make sure there's no poverty in England. They have some really key statistics that really kind of highlight the importance of needing to sort of really drive action to tackle poverty. More than 1 in 5 people in the UK were in poverty in 2021 to 2022. So as you can sort of see, that's 22% of the population. Then we can all agree that that is a number that's just way too high. If you could just move on, please. Another great organisation is the Trust of Trust, which obviously works very closely with Reach. They're a community of over 1,500 food banks with the ultimate mission to sort of end the need for food banks. As you can see on the slide, 3.1 million emergency food parcels were given out between April 2023 and March 2024, so which just highlights that the need for poverty, tackling poverty, is still out there and is increasing over 5 years by 94%. So it's an issue that's still very much prevalent across the UK. Great, if you could next, please.
Thank you. If you could just move on the next couple, we'll just take a little bit of a closer look into what's happening in Haverhill. So firstly, we're going to look at the amount of food parcels that we give out across the town. So if you can move on to the next one. Okay, this graph is not as clear as I thought it was going to be. So you can see a general trend line really over, of course, since 2011, and the line goes up and down, but the overall trend is that the amount of food parcels that we are distributing is increasing. So as Kelly was saying, with the national picture, looking at food parcels, that's sort of the initial port of call for people experiencing financial hardship. We saw a bit of a dip during the pandemic, some great measures that were introduced by the government at the time, with the £20 uplift to universal credit, with the furlough scheme. But as those sort of schemes were taken out, we came out the other side of the pandemic, we saw that need starting to increase. We've seen a little bit of a slower increase from this year to last year, with a 4% increase, which we can put down to the cost of living payments continuing. But overall, it's quite a bleak picture in terms of food parcels. Next slide, please. So over the last financial year, again, this graph isn't clear, but these are sort of the kind of reasons why people call up and need emergency food parcels. So when we do ask clients, they can put down more than one reason, but the key reason being rising cost of essentials, so the cost of living crisis, because of the work that we do supporting clients with debt, we do see higher numbers of debt, but we also see the ongoing impact of physical, mental health contributing to needing emergency food, and also issues with universal credit and delays in waiting for a payment. So it just shows there's quite a spread of issues that we see, and we can hopefully help support people in different ways. If you move to the next slide. And again, so we'll just look at sort of overall the support that we give from Reach. So between October 23 to September 24, we supported just over 4,000 people. This is in and around in Haverhill and surrounding villages. About 590 people with benefits, that could be through benefit applications, and we supported 225 people with debt. Next slide. Thank you. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing at Reach to hopefully tackle poverty. Next slide. So the first area we're going to look at is our mental health campaign. Next slide. I've been doing the project since January 2022, and the first year of the project was really talking to stakeholders, clients, members of the community about what the key issues were within Haverhill that could be contributing to financial hardship and crisis. Mental health, which I don't think would be a surprise, came up as one of the top issues, whether that's a symptom of people needing support from us or a cause of people needing support. So last year we set up the Haverhill Mental Health Action Group. We became a subgroup of the VASP, but also a task and finish group of the One Haverhill Health and Wellbeing subgroup, which is a massive mouthful. We've got quite a few representatives across the GCSE sector, so including Cambridge Pringle Group, Men's Shared, Open Mind, but also from statutory partners as well. So we've got some town councillors that attend those meetings, social prescribers, GPs, West Suffolk Alliance, Castle Manor. So we wanted to try and get a really representative view of mental health. So we knew it was an issue for our clients, but it's an issue for people that may not need support from Reach. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we produced an initial report last year after researching key issues with our clients but across the community. They included barriers to access and mental health support, so this could be waiting times, the support being located outside of Haverhill, the lack of crisis support within the town, people having trouble accessing services even though they'd previously used the services, awareness within the community, so people not knowing what support is available or how to get support, and also the impact on mental health by benefit sanctions. Next slide, please. So collectively we developed 6 priorities, so we took into account the initial feedback we received through talking to clients, but also from across the organisations that attend. So we've got we've got 6 on the board. So the first one's about training, so increasing training for GCSE organisations who are delivering that sort of low-level support within the community. A priority around funding and sustainability for GCSE organisations to continue doing great work. Increasing mental health crisis support, increasing children and young people support, alleviating accessibility barriers, so digital exclusion is quite a key issue people face when accessing mental health support. But probably our key priority is developing a Haverhill hub, so a wellbeing hub, that people can get early access to mental health support within the town, ideally to prevent the mental health crisis, but increase that awareness about what support is available, but also support collaboration between GCSE, community organisations and statutory partners. Next slide, please.
Great, thanks everyone. So the next sort of campaign that we've been working on is one sort of in collaboration with the Trussell Trust. So they currently have a campaign called Guarantee Our Essentials, which is basically a campaign that ensures that everyone who's on universal credit gets a protected minimum standard that ensures that they have enough money to afford the everyday essentials that everyone requires. If you can next, please. So this essentials guarantee would ensure that no one on universal credit would go without the essentials. So currently for a single person over 25, they only get £91 a week, which just isn't enough to afford the everyday essentials. So what this campaign is trying to sort of create is making sure that they have the minimum of £120 a week for a single person, so also removing that age criteria, because currently they have it set where you have a universal credit based on your age, so you have a one figure for under 25s and one figure for over 25s, which doesn't necessarily represent the people's context and sort of circumstances. So as part of this campaign, it's not only to increase it to £120, but also to remove that age criteria. So we've been at market stalls, talking to the community, at various table events to really kind of help people understand what this guarantee is, get people to sign our petition to really try and make this a reality. If you could next, please. So yes, as you can see, the current number of people in Haverhill that are on House Universal Credit, as you can see, so just in Haverhill South, there's over 400 people, so it's clearly an issue that is prevalent in Haverhill, needs to be tackled, and will hopefully, if it actually becomes a reality, will help positively impact a lot of people in Haverhill. Thank you. So what have we done so far? So as I said, as part of the campaign, we've got people to sign these cost of living postcards, which really try and create a awareness around the campaign. We're calling for Essentials Guarantee petition. We've had over 150,000 signatures across the whole campaign across the UK. And we've also been working with the community to write their own stories and really understand what it means to them to be living in poverty and to be living under this Essentials Guarantee, where we've created a tablecloth where people can write down their thoughts and just sort of express how they feel about the whole situation that they're in. Thank you.
Okay, and then finally we're going to talk about our Empowering Communities campaign. Next slide, please. So we originally started this campaign last summer as a way to sort of tackle and reduce the stigma people face when asking for help. We quite often see it reach that people put off picking up the phone and asking for support. So we wanted to get out there and engage with the community to try and reduce some of that stigma. So the name of the campaign was Asking for Help Should Be Empowering, Not Embarrassing, because that's why we exist as an organisation, to support people. As part of this, that's when we started the cooking classes last August, so it's empowering people with other skills. So if they'd come for support from Reach, and if they needed anything else, we would help them with that next step. And we started a focus group this year with clients to sort of bring them on this campaign journey with us. Next slide, please. And we're just going to finish with Sarah, so I'll introduce you if that's all right. So we started working with Sarah last year, who was a client but now is part of our campaigns group. And I thought it would be really nice to hear from Sarah about sort of why you volunteering with us and just share a little bit about your experience of campaigning with us as well.
Right, I started off with just getting food parcels. I've only had a couple of food parcels, but they were fantastic. A couple of different reasons. One was due to my mental health, and the other was due to universal credit. And then I attended the first ever cooking classes in August last year, when then I really started to get into my helping with Reach, with the focus groups and whatever I could do for them. And then this year, my mental health has increased. I've been on a different, a Suffolk Mind course, so that's been really good. And just recently, I've decided, after helping with the focus groups, the support I got from Saffron was fantastic. You know, she made my mental health boost so much, and I obviously helped with the family cafe and the church on a Friday, which Steve is part of, and that is really good as well. And then more recently, I've actually started doing the paperwork and that lot for the food parcels, and I'm still doing the focus group and whatever they need me to do, and that's my story.
So that was quite a quick whistle-stop tour, but hopefully that gives you a bit of a taste of what we've been up to. I don't know if we've got time for questions.
Two more slides.
Yeah,
oh yeah, sorry. There's
So I suppose what we kind of are asked, I suppose, for you guys, they're quite simple, I suppose, in a sense, and you put them down on paper. But sort of for the mental health action campaign, we kind of want to support the sustainability and longevity of the action group. We want this to be something that can continue to be utilised and be a benefit to Haverhill. We want to keep mental health a high priority within Haverhill and for work authorities. As you guys can see from the PowerPoint, mental health is such a key issue and a key reason why people are in that crisis. So if we could kind of tackle that before it becomes a crisis, that would be great. For the Trussell campaign, the Guarantee Our Centres campaign, we would ask you guys to try and help us raise awareness about the campaign and about universal credit issues in general, and just keep an eye out for upcoming campaign actions. And then lastly, for empowering communities, this is a sort of campaign that we want to continue being sort of throughout Haverhill, really trying to empower the community. It's not just a one single campaign that's short-lived. We want it to be something that can be used throughout the whole sort of campaign of Haverhill and making Haverhill a thriving place. So we ask you guys to sort of help support our campaign, keep a regular channel of communication going between Reach and all the other stakeholders that can sort of help the community thrive. Thank you.
I think we've got one more slide. So I guess on a bit of a lighter note to finish. So over the last financial year, so between our financial year in October and September this year, we've supported people in Haverhill. We've achieved 1.4 million in financial outcomes for clients, so that might be through benefit applications, managing their debt, or client aid as well. So just to finish off on a lighter note, and I think that is the end of the slide.
Thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steph and Kate, for your very detailed and thought-provoking presentation there, making us aware of what's going on, what we need to do, and also helping our residents with to get the help that they need. So, Councillor Mason, put your question.
Thank you, Chair. I spoke to Henry the other day, and he said that there have been no applications for pension credit because many people aren't hitting the eligibility criteria for pension credit. 35 people have successfully applied for the attendance allowance, which is great. I spoke to Citizens Advice. Only 23 people have actually qualified for pension credit across West Suffolk, and a further 72 for attendance allowance. We know there are so many people out there that are hard to get to. What ideas or what support would you like in terms of trying to reach out to those people who are difficult to get? Because we know they're out there. And the people who have just missed out on winter fuel purchase won't necessarily know how to apply, and the applications are really quite complicated. The work you do is amazing, but what additional support can we give to help try and reach out into those places that are so difficult to get to?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think just raising it with residents when you come into contact with them about what support is out there. I know Reach would be a bit more proactive, so going into supported housing in Haverhill, also going to different sort of older people groups within the town just to reach out and just do some of that fact finding, support people, find out if they're eligible, but if not, signpost some sort of support that's available. So just keep it in mind if you're speaking to residents or see residents within that age category.
If you wanted to run an initiative that was a leaflet through every door and it was costed, then as a county councillor I'll be willing to help support you with that, to try and get things through people's doorposts.
That'd be great. I think that it's about trying to do different communication streams, because everyone has, like you said, some people might not have digital awareness, so we can't just focus on social media campaigns, and then some people might not go to market stalls. So it really is about trying to reach as many different communication streams as possible to really target everyone that we possibly can and get the word out there. So having a leaflet through the doors is another way that we can really try and ensure that everyone knows what support is out there and try and get it to them.
I'll follow up. That's right. I'll follow up with you.
We'll talk to you.
Councillor Jones.
And just following up on that, on what Joe said, have you had people going door to door in any of these places where a lot of elderly live, or I'm assuming you don't have the manpower for that?
Not door to door as such, but we've gone to Shannon Court, we've gone to
as
well.
I was just wondering if you wanted like a group of councillors to kind of, if we could arrange something where if there were areas where kind of, you know, some of the estates where quite a lot of elderly people live, we could potentially arrange something where we go door knocking and just say, you know, is there anyone here who needs advice about, and you know, maybe if you had either a leaflet, or just if we had the information ourselves for sort of what to tell them, like would that be something that would potentially be helpful? Is that something that somebody could note for us to arrange, maybe?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming along tonight,
Thank
and
you.
I think we've taken enough of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay for 1 or 2 months.
I'll catch you on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like the door open?
Yes. Okay, right. Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
So moving on, we've got item 6, the Suffolk County Council Area Sustainable Transport Plan for Haverhill. And to agree in response to the consultation currently underway. Hopefully you may have had a chance to have a look at the area transport plan. We were given a brief presentation as at the last parish forum by the County Council.
Councillors want to just give general feedback on what they've read and feel informed.
Nobody else is. I think I'm just going to repeat what I said at the meeting, you know, the meeting on the West Suffolk Parish Forum. There's virtually nothing in there about the links west to Cambridge and everything. Absolutely zero. That I can see anyway. Yes, you can comment on it, obviously. Doesn't seem to be any joined up thinking with the Cambridge authorities, you know, GCP, the Combined Authority and all those sort of things. Nothing really about the fact of, you know, we don't have links to places like Bury St Edmunds. The bus service toward the end gets there after the rush hour. I mean, you know, how stupid is that? You know, at least years ago, when I first moved here, 30 odd years ago, it took a bus to London, but it went, at least it went by Saffron Walden at 6 o'clock in the morning, so people would get to London if they wanted to be on the train. I got the feeling they just didn't understand what the problems we have, you know, like all the way down to local bus services, yeah, just going around the estate and everything. We have large areas of the town that are not covered. At least 25 years ago, we had a hopper bus service. Yes, we have less estates, of course we did. Naturally, you know, you can. So, I just get the feeling that this is going to be one of these tick box exercises. Yes, they're saying there might be money coming to the town, but they promised us that, I don't know how many, was it 15 years ago? And then they grabbed all the money and gave it to the park and ride in Ipswich. Lost all our things. We had plans to have electronic signs like they have in Cambridge and everything. That never happened. I mean, even things like Great Willsey and Persimmon, you know, in the S106s it talks about electronic signage. That's not going to happen because the County Council are saying we're not going to allow you to use the system from Cambridge in our town, is what I was told by them. You know, so you can't win one way or the other. But I would say everybody should be putting their comments in, otherwise, you know, there'll be no comments at all. And we need to make sure that the general public knows about this survey so they can fill it, because they tend to be the users. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with everything you said there. It's the same old, isn't it? It's not recognising that we're a growing town and we're an urban environment with a rural bus service. I think that's the problem. A lot of our links are to the villages, but yeah, nearly 30,000 people is a fairly sizable town, I think. Councillor Mason.
I think squaring this up is really difficult for the teams who are trying to find solutions. The bottom line is the amount of money that's in the system, the amount of money that is available for subsidies for buses. There is a reason why local bus services fail, and that's because not enough people are using them. Speaking with Stagecoach, there isn't that much difference between a hopper bus and a double-decker, believe it or not, because all the cost is actually in the driver. And unless there is much more money put into the system, probably from central government, then it's a very difficult circle to square. I was very nervous about the presentation that we had, which talked about multimodal transport, because of course the more components you have on the journey, the more danger it is that somebody could find themselves isolated. So I'm quite nervous about the notion of multimodal transport to get to a particular destination. But so it's just a passing comment that more money is needed in the system. Thank you.
That's Brad. Did you want to?
No.
I'm sorry, I thought you.
I was about to.
Councillor Tanner.
Yeah, I'll say that I'd like to sort of just highlight that they said we will improve walkways, which is glad to hear or see, because the paving around Haverhill is absolutely atrocious on pavements, trying to walk around pavements. It's very unsteady. You know, when people get older, they tend to fall a lot more because they can't lift their feet up as much as younger people. So it's good to see that they said they're going to improve the walking areas. Thank you.
I think the point about buses not being used, well, if they're not reliable, they're not going to be used, I think that's the thing. What's going to come? Something has to go big first. Build it, they will come, hopefully. Anybody else want to add anything to that at all? No?
Okay, okay.
Short discussion on thought, isn't it? Thank you very much.
So is that just for us to kind of have a, when
That's
we're
to
not
give
making like
a
a
comment
kind
as a town council. You're welcome to put in your own comments.
yeah, but so
In fact, the one
we
that-
don't need to kind of vote on an official kind of comment that we want to make as a town at this point.
Well, no, I didn't hear anyone disagree with what was said. So.
No. So,
So apologies, was put it down in
Yeah.
full of words,
Yeah.
and I think we're all happy with that. Yeah.
I've also made some comments on the actual plan where there's some factual inaccuracies.
Yeah.
What we want to do is help improve the draft.
One quick point. Could you say something around, so I don't think that's really taken into account the actual geographical nature of the town. It's a big dip with hills each side. That never seems to be taken into consideration on these. You know, they keep building them up similar, regular at the top of the hill. But they don't seem to take account. It's very difficult for people to actually walk up there or cycle up there. So I think that's something that needs to be emphasised.
I think they find it strange that Kennington's not included within the Haverhill area,
Yeah.
and that seems to be an omission. Is that worth commenting on?
I think you need to add all of it.
Well,
Yeah, even into Essex and Cambridge, Castle Camps and all those places.
surrounding.
Only just outside the boundary, aren't we?
Thank you. Item 7 is the Queen Street, High Street Enhancement Project. The members from the council sitting on the working party to endorse their recommendation of pedestrianisation, the basis of which enhancement plans made by the working party are predicated. Councillor Cox.
Just a bit concerned it's jumping the gun a bit by us trying to endorse them, because my view was our discussion at the meeting was to look at ideas without, we're not endorsing anything at this moment, it was to try and look at what can be done, look at plans, and of course we're asking people to endorse something if this is right. And there's nothing to endorse yet because we're still waiting to see what ideas can come forward. On the positive side, I did think that they're moving things forward because we've got another meeting this week and hopefully there'll be some further thoughts after that.
Yeah, I just want to make the point that we're not asking for anyone to endorse any plans that haven't been written yet. The thrust of the meeting outcome which councillors voted on at that meeting. The basic question is, there is funding to enhance the high street. Take it right down to the very fundamentals. Are we enhancing a high street that has vehicles coming along it, or are we envisaging a high street where vehicles are not coming along it? Because whatever you then discuss about enhancements is different. You can't have something that does both. So councillors at that meeting, I think unanimously, voted that the basis of the enhancement plans that the working party are going to make will be the assumption that it will be pedestrianisation rather than designing something for traffic to use. That's what was voted on, and we were asked by the chair, the portfolio holder, to take it back to the town council to let everybody else know and get confirmation that that endorsement, that decision that councillors voted on, those who represented the town council, you're happy for that to continue, or whether you'd prefer. They weren't offering to do a twin track where we design two entirely different things. Whether you're happy with that recommendation that councillors made, or you prefer that they reverse that and ask that the enhancement plans are based on allowing traffic to drive through the whole route.
Councillor Braden.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, when the last time we properly met, we did talk about some towns have actually taken out their pedestrianisation, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just said that West Suffolk needed to look at those councils and find out why they did take it out, and to make sure that we don't make a mistake, because it could be, expensive, major thing. It'd be great if pedestrianisation, if it does work, but I say we just need to make sure that we get it right, and we look at all the evidence out there. Don't jump into something very quickly, and there could be other towns that are, going the other way, reintroducing vehicles, because people want to dip into news agents, pick up newspapers and one thing and another, and it brings a bit of life back to town. So I'd just be very wary of making that sort of decision without some real good evidence to make sure that it's the right thing to do. And at that meeting sort of 4 or 5 years ago, we did say that the council needs to go and find the evidence out, to make sure that we don't make the wrong mistake. So, yeah.
Councillor Hammond.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of an enhancement in part of the high street, and they put the bollards up as well, and not long, they knocked the bollards down. Cars were using the pavements as parking areas and collapsing the paving that they'd enhanced with. So I fully support going down the pedestrianisation route, I really do. Because the culture as well is changing in Haverhill, as we can see, as far as the shops are concerned. We're getting more smaller shops, completely different type of shops as well. And they're the sort of shops that need people to go around and walk past and go into. But the hub, I've noticed, is opened up in the High Street tonight, walking past. And there's many other shops as well that are completely different to what it was. So I think going down the pedestrianisation route would be good. Thank you.
Councillor Mason.
Thank you. Quite a lot of discussion was held about what is the USP, the unique selling point for Haverhill. It's currently not a destination town like Bury St Edmunds or Saffron Walden is, and it's essentially a straight road that is partly pedestrianised, even though it lets vehicles along it. And my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that £36,000 that is going to be spent on a consultancy firm to bring proposals for pedestrianisation does not come out of the £693,000, which is the pot of money that is available for the works. So a lot of discussion was had about how do we make it a destination town where not only are people going to want to come and shop, but people are going to want to come and stay. And there was lots of ideas about pocket gardens, about, yes, it may be pedestrianised, but it shouldn't just look like a street. And so when the consultants come back, I'm really hoping that they'll come back with something that will inspire us to make us think that Haverhill High Street will be transformed into something where people will want to stay. I did express my nervousness because I think if you take the cars out, you're taking out an awful amount of energy and that pop into town culture. But if pedestrian is done correctly, and I think that's where we were as a group, with the right attractions that will make people want to stay in town for longer. It'll be interesting to see what the consultancy can come back with. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Yeah, I agree with what Councillor Hammond said and what Councillor Mason just said. My only concern about pedestrianisation, which I do definitely support overall, is that at the moment obviously we have the spaces for blue badge holders to park in the high street, and I just wonder if we do pedestrianise it, I'm assuming that will include sort of some blue badge parking at kind of one or either end of the pedestrianisation zone in a kind of, you know, suitable place, so that there is still, you know, I don't know, just to kind of allow for those people who may need that parking close to the shops that they're trying to visit. That would be my only concern. Apart from that, total support.
Sorry, Councillor Bennett said before you sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've got no views one way or the other. I spent many a time with Councillor Brown and others, like Councillor Green and everybody. During COVID, we spent every couple of weeks for every meeting, spent hours over all this. And I was very disappointed that they came in and nothing's changed, in my view. Yeah, they want to spend a lot of the money. They decided they want to spend money with a consultant, which is not the way I would do it. I'd find out what is it we want first before you decide who's going to do that work. So 30 odd grand for my money, I think is the 690 odd grand. They wouldn't tell me whether that was included, the 680 grand that's sitting there, has been there for 15 years, which should be worth 1.1 million now, but they haven't spent it, which was for public realm. They're now talking about possibly, housing and all that sort of stuff. Well, I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. There is actually, Councillor Miller-Jones, there is actually no blue badge parking in the high street at all. No, there is parking, but obviously blue badges can park on W the lines for up to 3 hours as long as they're not causing a congestion or parking on the pavement. That's the rules in the high street. Okay? There are no blue badges. There's 30-minute things, there's 3 hours things, but there's no actual blue badge. You have to have a proper...
Who can park in the spaces that are like, there is some actual parking
Yeah, but they're not blue badge.
No, but so can anyone park?
Never anyone park.
In the right.
Which is the restrictions of the TRO, which may
Never knew that. I always thought they were just for blue badge holders.
Only...
There you go.
Yeah. But that's, that's by the way. I fully accept what you're saying, and I think, when we were doing it during COVID, we made sure that was #1 priority. In terms of the pedestrianisation, the way I listened to that meeting, and I think I'm probably agreeing with Councillor Cox here, is we needed a baseline. So we agreed that pedestrianisation, and we couldn't even agree what pedestrianisation really meant. Are we talking about 24/7? Are we talking about 10 to 4? That sort of stuff. But that is a basis from which to work from. And then you work outwards and decide. And if the consultant comes up with 2 or 3 plans, different ways, then I'm fine if that's what they do. My personal view is I think we know what the problems are along High Street. We did that during the COVID. We said the High Street's far too long. It is a medieval town. It's not a northern town like Sutton Walden or Bury. So I think me personally, I think it's far too early to say that we're endorsing the recommendation of the pedestrianisation basis. I think there's slightly wrong wording here.
That's exactly what you just said though, wasn't it?
No, I said that's what was agreed at the meeting.
And I thought you just said that's what we should base it on.
No, I said that's what was agreed at the meeting. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that argument, because we've been there already. What I asked for was all the discussions that we had, which run into several pages, should have been brought back to the meeting so people could look to them and said, oh look, you've already done that before, the reason you can't do that is this. So you have to start somewhere. But I agree with what you're saying, Colin, is that is the basis on what the thing was done. But the way I've read this is endorsing the recommendation of pedestrianisation to the basis, rather than saying we're going to work out, we'll assume that pedestrianisation is the major option of some sort. We don't know what that means. Do we mean the whole of the high street? Do we mean part of the high street? Do we mean, as I say, the 10th floor, whatever it might be? So I would decide on, but you know, I think I understand what you're trying to say, but it's maybe just the wording I'm a bit worried about. But I also made the great point, and I think it'll probably be ignored, that this needs to be a town-wide system. Because if you start playing around with the traffic in the high street, you will affect elsewhere. You only have to look at Erlinghausen Way. 4 o'clock on a weekday afternoon it becomes a massive rat race down the high street, because the vast majority of people want to get to the other end to get home, whether it's the Clements or whatever it might be. And equally, the people coming down Camps Road want to go up Queen Street or the High Street because they're the north-south routes of the town. You know, we have a great plan to do a big link road from lower down Slade to Camps Road. It's stymied by the County Council, which I think would have made a hell of a difference to the High Street. But I don't know how long this project is going to go on for. But I think it's a long time. I think it's going to be lots and lots and lots of meetings, like we had in COVID. I hope at the end of it something is achieved, because it's been going on for over 50 years now in its current format. So I'll shut up then.
Okay.
So you shut up,
Sarah, you're welcome to your opinion. That's good to hear it on. We've got an opportunity to do something, and I think that's what we've got to grab. You know, we can't, what's gone in the past has gone in the past. Yes, we've got to recognise that, but we need to move forward now. We can't just sort of say, oh, we looked at that, it didn't work. Things change. But anyway, I've got Councillor Cross there.
Thank you, Chair. Cool. Sorry, I'd make this high street busy if it was me. And I think the basis should be increased footfall for the high street, regardless of what the consultant might want to come up with. The increased footfall should be the basis. Pedestrianisation, that's been a silver bullet for Haverhill for decades. It's not going to work. What you've got to do, we want more cars, more parking in the high street, beautiful lay-bys, more parking, a blue badge ban, outrageous. You're not going to get a blue badge car parking to walk to get their sausages and then back to the car park. They like parking outside, popping in, getting a couple of sticks. You're going to lose loads of revenue.
That's right.
So I would, well, this is only my opinion, obviously, but I would actually abolish the 10 till 4. I would open it all up, and you might think shock horror, but Sudbury, Bury, Saffron Walden, Newmarket, none of them have restrictions on cars going into the town centre.
Newmarket does.
None of them, not the high street. None of them have restrictions. So if you want to follow other towns that are successful, allow the cars, make the place busy. That's my view. So I can't endorse pedestrianisation, but I hope I'm wrong. I wish the team luck, and I don't want it to become torturous where we get this every month. You know, so I'm happy to keep quiet. But yeah, my view is I'm against the blue badge ban. Thank you.
It's difficult to ban something that was never there in the first place. But there we go.
It's there now, Chair.
You're saying
blue badge holders have full rights to park in the high street.
that's right, but it's not a blue badge. Yeah. Sorry, I've got Councillor Cox.
It was only because it's raised, and I think it's much an important point as the town council to make people aware, is we did argue the point, and I think it was a unanimous point, that we didn't see any need for more consultation based on the past history, but they still insisted that they felt it was relevant, which, based on what was just said, that yeah, things did change, but I don't think we endorse more money being spent on things that had never happened in the previous ones, and also making the point they could just lift all the points from previous reports and just create the new ones. So they need to be very wary, whoever they did bring in, to not just copy what's been said before and say that there's the report and they haven't worked for it. And I think it's important, as a town council, for those that were there, unanimously we said we don't support the idea of more advisors coming in and charging their money.
Councillor Smith.
Such a long time ago for us. I agree with Councillor Burns about the area, the whole area needs to be looked at as regards roads, etc. Because if we do pedestrianise that area, you've got to think about the access to the town from the roads surrounding it. I'm thinking, for example, to get to one part of the town to the other, you either go through Eastern Avenue or Crownland Road, which become a bit of a rat run. And we need to think about those surrounding roads, what's going to happen if we do pedestrianise that high street. And the other thing I was going to say about mobility things, if we do have a pedestrianised area, we need to think about perhaps a shop mobility thing again. That I think I was talking to Mayor earlier and he was saying we had it some years ago, but some sort of ability for people to have mobile scooters and things like that they can hire perhaps once they're in town.
Councillor Furman, did you want to speak?
I lost the will, sorry. I've stood in the high street 35 years, working away, I've seen the change in it, and I was totally against pedestrianisation. You've got to admit, there's going to be no good towns, no shops coming in our towns, no good big shops. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, so you've got to make the most of what you've got. But I think the high street is too long, personally. If you start mucking about the traffic flow in the high street, it's going to bug other areas up and make it a nightmare. So, I don't know what to say really. I mean, I can't think there's an answer, simple as that. I think it's gone too far now. I really do. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. It's probably 25 years ago since I'm looking around this table. None of the councillors are on this committee, apart from you, Pat. We spent...
Yes, I've been here a long time.
Yeah, no, I've been here longer, unfortunately. We spent a very long time dealing with the high street. Access for servicing, shops, pedestrianisation, how it was going to work, was it going to work? Thousands upon thousands of pounds spent on consultancy fees, which to me is a total waste of money. I couldn't say about the blue badges. I don't know who said about blue badges. Whoever it was, I completely agree. And I remember at the time when this conversation came up, when we were dealing with this, it's probably 25 years ago. I can't really remember exactly how long, but it's a very long time anyway. The very same points were raised then as are being raised here today. Exactly the same points. Nothing has changed. Shopkeepers in the town, the vast majority of them, I think, at the time, were against pedestrianisation because they saw it as it would, the impact it was going to have on their businesses, people hopping in and out. And I had sympathy with them because of that. Do we want to go down, I mean, I thought we had pedestrianisation between 10 and 4. The shops, originally, going back, it was closed off between 10 and 4 p.m. I don't know what happened to that. It sort of gradually eroded and disappeared. But where we are now, we were there 25 years ago having exactly the same conversations.
Except you had a thriving high street 25 years ago.
Sorry?
Except 25 years ago you had a thriving high street.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I know things have changed, shopping habits have changed, all of that has changed. And somebody said making this town a destination town. Well, that would be fantastic. But at the moment, there's nothing really to attract people in. I love the town, I love this Haverhill, I'm a great supporter of it. But you need shops, you need events, you need things, you to draw people in and to make them want to spend time here. I just think it's been done already. All of this discussion has taken place. I'm sure somewhere in the archives of this council, all of this has been documented already. I'm not a great, certainly blue badge holders must be accommodated, because at the time when we discussed that, that was a great big issue for many people, because they need to be able to, they're not going to be walking up and down the high street, they can't. They need to be able to access the park where they have to park, get into their shops and get out. I'm at a loss as to know even why we're discussing it again.
Councillor Jones, not straight down. I think we're of course finishing a minute. Councillor Jones, if you'd like to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I have a couple of things. I was just going to say one thing, but just on the whole kind of making it a destination town thing, I do not feel actually personally that whether or not it's pedestrianised is going to be the thing that makes or breaks the high street. It is about what we have here to attract people, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, but people are not going out to shop. People can shop online. People are going to come out if there's fun stuff to do. People will be attracted by things, which is what I have said, and I'll say again, I think we need to do things like escape rooms and arcades, fun things that will get people out of the house, I don't know, a little bowling alley in one of the high street shops, things that people will actually come out of the house to do activities. That's the only thing that's going to help the high street, and I firmly believe that. The thing I was actually going to say was just, presumably we need to vote on this one way or another, do we not?
No.
Is this not? Oh, it's just a thing to chat about. But then what is going to happen with these guys, whoever's on the committee, going back to it? Don't you need to then go back and say, oh, well, the council either do or don't support the pedestrianisation? You want a response, don't you?
Mm-hmm. No,
Sorry, just clarification.
Just for clarification, as has been mentioned, there is money available that West Suffolk wants to spend on improving the high street. There has to be some basis for the discussion about the enhancement. If, for instance, as all the councillors at that meeting voted for, that the basis would be, we'll assume that we're going to end up with pedestrianisation, what are the issues, blue badge parking, deliveries, etc., impact on businesses, that's the discussion that then takes place about how we work it. If the councillors, if the councillors at that meeting have said, no, we think the basis should be as Councillor Crooks described, then of course questions about where do blue badge holders park, well, that's not an issue at all, because it's actually, they can park anywhere they like. Delivery, well, that's not a problem. The only problem then you really have is the demarcation between the live carriageway and where people can park and the pavement. And at the moment, as we know in the high street, the majority of drivers who come down with the intention of parking couldn't care less about the demarcation between the pavement and the road, and park actually anywhere. The double yellow lines and single yellow lines are purely decorative as far as they're concerned. And we know that the enhancement, the County Council spent a shed load of money just a few years ago relaying a huge section of paving outside Barclays and beyond. It's all wrecked because of the parking. So, in terms of how you enhance the high street, the basis was either, well, we'll plan an enhancement with the high street open to traffic, or we'll plan an enhancement with the high street not open. And all we need to know is it's not making any decisions about, it's definitely going to be pedestrianisation, it's definitely not going to be pedestrianisation. It's basically what basis they can actually start from. Even if Councillor Burns used a different set of words to the ones here, it still means the same thing. That the discussions moving forwards at that group are, what will the issues of pedestrianising the place be? What impact does it have about how you pedestrianise it, and work from there? And so that's how they voted at the meeting. And the request here is an endorsement simply so they don't do a whole load of work on a basis that everybody else then throws out.
But we don't need to vote on that endorsement.
Well, I think it's fair for the councillors who are being representing the town council, that they are not thinking that actually I'm wasting my time here because the town council's going to disagree with what we're doing. They're just going to say, well, what on earth are we doing with this plan? We don't want this plan.
So is that a yes or no that you want us to vote on the endorsement?
It would be useful for the councillors who are on that group to know that they actually are at least exploring on the right basis. If everybody was saying, no, the high street should be open all the time to traffic, then that would best, we'd go back this week to that group and say, no, actually, we're going to need to plan the enhancements on the basis of it being open.
So that was the vote I was talking about?
Yeah.
So we've got, a couple more people who came in to speak. So I'll just take those and then we'll move on. So I've got Councillor Mann and then Councillor Brown.
I think to me, from what Colin was saying, I didn't hear that we needed to have any endorsement from this meeting because there was nothing potentially moving forward. It was very much an idea. There was no vote on we're going for nationalisation. It was just the words spared that, and even I'll make it very clear in the meeting. So we were saying, do we need to make it a vote? And it was we didn't need a vote because this is just an idea stage. And that's where I would say it's an idea stage and that's it. And I think what's already been said, I would agree with, because there was such a variable of different ideas. It's even an idea of a starting point. So I think the fact is, it's just an idea. There is nothing that's been agreed, nothing that we've said, this has to happen. It was just a starting point for us to actually have some more discussions, which is happening on Wednesday. And that's where I would feel, I didn't think there was anything being said in that meeting that we need to endorse today, because nothing's happening as yet. And in my view, we're jumping the gun, because until you've got something for us to say, this is what we're suggesting it would look like, how can we endorse something? We've got no idea.
So do you need something from us tonight to bring forward to this meeting next week?
No, not in my mind we don't. Not from what we said last meeting. We don't need anything.
Yeah, I can see where Colin's coming from though. You know, if you say, for instance, we'll open it up, well, you've got to have, even if you have curbs, they don't take blimey notice of curbs. You go around any street in Haverhill, people park one wheel or two wheels on the curbs and two wheels on the that won't make no difference. But what you must realise that if you do have cars going down there up and down, you've got to do these paving slabs. In other words, you've got to have concrete on the walkways.
Yeah. Because we're not going to that level of detail.
No. But what I'm trying to get at with Colin, what I think Colin's on about, you've got to have something. If you do have either or either, you've got to have the right roadworks or you know, concrete or whatever it is to withstand cars going on that particular on the paving slabs, because it's so dangerous walking down the high street. You've got a paving slab and trip over. It's the trip hazards, and that's the thing. It's got to be done so that it will withstand cars. That's what Colin was saying. I'm sure.
Yeah, just going on to what Jason was saying about, say, like Newmarket High Street. That's open two-way traffic up and down, pretty much like Haverhill High Street used to be, right? And that, if you go through Newmarket High Street, it's absolutely thriving. Everyone's nipping in and out of shops, people are pulling over, and this high street, with half the people living in the town that there was in the 1970s and 60s, was absolutely busted with two-way traffic. So I really think we need to look at somewhere like, what's happening in Newmarket, because if we make the wrong decision, it's going to be...
The difference between saying the Newmarket High Street is twice as wide. You know, you've got wide pavements, haven't you? So you can accommodate that.
Same here, you know.
Okay, right.
Thank you. I'm sorry. So I understand the points of Colin and of Quinn. I'm going to be the second person to try and paraphrase Colin now. But I understand what you're saying, Councillor Cox, about the fact that you didn't think there was anything yet to endorse. But I believe that what Colin is trying to say is that for the working party to go forward, they need to know whether you're going forward on the basis of, do the council support the idea that we're going to make a plan for pedestrianisation, because we need, so can I just please propose that we vote on whether or not we want to endorse pedestrianisation, because if everybody wants to abstain, fine. If everybody wants to vote against it, fine. But when you guys go back to your meeting, you need to be able to say what we wanted, and I don't think it's clear at all what we all want.
Too early. I think that's not basically the question. No, it's not about whether you want pedestrianisation. It's what.
Just remind councillors who are in this room who are now talking against it, there was a vote that would be the basis. There was a vote. There was a vote. Everybody.
We actually discussed it and there was no vote.
No, we did have a vote.
Yeah,
there was a vote. Yes.
Yeah.
We did have a vote.
We did have a vote.
Well, I propose to vote on endorsing it.
You can shut the high street against inside now.
Sorry, it's the council.
You cannot shut the high street and object to cars coming.
Sorry, if you want to speak to the public section, that's fine, but at the moment, this is councillors speaking.
Could you find out if there are any seconders for my proposal that we vote on whether or not we want to endorse this?
Okay, do you know, so what are you saying, what is your
I
proposal?
propose that we do what it says at number 7, and we vote on whether or not we want to suggest that the working party go ahead and make a plan based on the idea that we may want to pedestrianise this. To allow them to go ahead with that plan that they voted on in their meeting.
It will kill the high street.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. It's literally just so that the plans are starting. It'll be the discussions then are what are the issues around doing it, how could we do it?
Yeah. Right, so do we have a second by Councillor Smith? Before we vote, Councillor Burks?
Yeah, only a couple of quick things, I don't want to delay it too much. I mean, Colin's dead right about the pavement. You know, it's £200,000 that county council spent, what, 4 years ago? Maybe not even that. Was it post-COVID?
Yeah, post-COVID.
Oh, it was post-COVID, yeah. And I said at the time to the guys, you're laying it wrongly, you're laying it on sand. You can't do that with cars going parking on it. And if you look at the bit they did with the resin outside the top of Jubilee Walk, everyone said, oh, I've done it like that. But actually, that's probably going to be the best thing to do there because they laid it on top of hardcore. And so, what a waste of money that was. But then you only have to look at Queen Street, you know, £450,000 spent there in 2007, should never reopened, and look at the damage that's been done there as well. Newmarket High Street, I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, that is actually a route from A to B. Our High Street is not necessarily a route on a major route from, I don't know, I'm going to say Kennet all the way through to 6 Mile Bottom or something.
Some reference people nipping into shops getting stuff, it's not...
No, I'm not saying there isn't. No, I'm not saying there isn't, but what I'm saying that's the vast majority of traffic drives straight through. And it is right. But I'm not saying I disagree with you, I'm just saying that thing. On the recommendation, I would have much rather, I hate the word pedestrianisation because it can mean anything. And it's certainly not an either or. There's no way that we discussed whether it's an either or. We know you're either about pedestrianisation or you don't. Pedestrianisation means it's 100% pedestrianised. I would have much rather said what it really covers now, and Councillor Martin referred to it, the 1999 Traffic Regulation Order, which is 10 till 4, or 6 till 6 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Restricted vehicular access is what I would have preferred. Is you might say, oh, well, that's the same thing, but it's not necessarily. At the moment, officially at the moment, you cannot ride a pedal cycle up the high street. It's illegal. You know, so that's why I say vehicular access. That's what I preferred there. Because I think we did vote on it. We did vote on the basis that was the baseline, but I never envisioned that it would either be, there'd only be one solution at the end of this. Because general companies
decided yet. No one knows what the solution is yet.
No, we don't know the solution. But the problem is, we're trying to find a solution when we don't know what the problem is to start with. And it goes back to destination towns and this sort of stuff. Is what are we trying to achieve for our high street? Are we trying to bring back retail? Are we trying to bring back services, coffee bars, whatever it might be? But then I say to the people, well, hang on a minute, we've got all these local centres around the town which we're ignoring. And we're trying to keep this around.
So what do you do?
Just a very quick question.
When does the working party need to give a brief to the consultants?
Very soon.
So that is the problem.
Councillor Mason, if I can just take you there, and then we'll move to the vote on this.
I'll pass, Chair.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right, so we've got a proposal then that the council endorses the recommendation that decentralisation is the basis of which enhancement plans made by the working party are predicated. Okay, so it's not timeless to anything. It's just this is the basis.
Starting point.
It's the
To start from somewhere.
Exactly. So all those in favour? Starting point would be better. 7 those against. 2 against.
3, 4.
Sorry, I couldn't see that. Big pardon. So I can do that again. That's against. Sorry. 1, 3,
4.
Where's 4? Oh, sorry, I didn't see. I couldn't see your pen out like that. Sorry, Tom.
Just believe us.
It's these glasses. Sorry. Thank you. Item 9 then is reports from the district councillors on issues pertinent to Haverhill and the public. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Item 8, Haverhill Area Forum. To note that the Haverhill Area Forum is being held on Tuesday the 5th of November. All local elected representatives at any layer of government are invited, so that's just to note. Okay?
I have to leave now. Thank you. You do.
So, item 9 then, as I said earlier, so that's 9A is the police report.
No, we've got another date for the meeting that's been sorted, so
next month. That's the meeting of the
liaison group, but it was basically just availability of councillors.
14.
I said it was just the availability of council, I didn't say that just now.
Sorry.
The 19th.
19th, isn't it?
Okay, 9B then is ambulance report.
There's nothing to report other than to note Councillor Stinchcombe and Councillor Brown. There's something into the Suffolk News.
Pardon?
Something into the Suffolk News. There was a
Haverhill Echo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's an article in there. There was a link in what Alan put in there. So but I think Alan raised a good point with his email that maybe we do need to invite the other partners, because if it isn't just the East that are responsible for the ambulances and making sure the ambulance gets here on time, if it's NHS England and whatever, they need to be in the room as well, sure.
Well, that's already been decided. So the reason that the matters arising in terms of the difficulty of juggling is because it's East. It's hard enough to get a day out of them.
Yes.
It's the ICB, and it's the MP, and it's yourselves.
So, is it because you can't get a date from those people that we can't sit down with them and discuss?
It's finding a common date that everybody can make when you think about, finding
because
space.
this keeps appearing, full council after full council, ambulance report, and we're no further on.
No, but that's because it's a placeholder that we were asked to put on the agenda, so it doesn't get forgotten, so it'll appear every single month.
I don't think
There was
it'll be forgotten.
There was no expectation that there would be anything necessary to report every single time, but council's asked that it got added as a placeholder.
But we need to move it on, and we need to
Yeah,
get dates, and we need to be able to hold those people to account for their services and everything.
I thought it's just a reminder that we need to do something. That's amazing.
It's just an observation which may not necessarily go down well. My daughter's a paramedic, and she talked about how a significant part of her shift can just be based as a hospital. My concern could be that as a town council we could be shouting for the impossible because there's a structural issue with how ambulances are being used. I recently had a medical issue which meant going to A&E, and I think I counted 8 ambulances with crews having to stay with patients So that's 8 ambulances out of the system. So there are bigger structural issues that I'm sure that East are facing, and it isn't. I suspect it isn't as simple as just asking for an ambulance to be tethered to Haverhill. I think there's probably a much bigger structural issue about how ambulances are being deployed, which may go beyond actually East's capacity to actually resolve them.
I think we're all fully aware that there are bigger issues around this, but we have to do, of course, what we can with the towns to council ground.
Yeah, Joe, 100% right, but the thing is, at the end of the day, it's always Haverhill seems to be twice. It takes twice as long for someone to get picked up in Haverhill than it's done somewhere else. So that's what we're trying to get, equality of our service with the rest of the area.
I'm not saying that it's bad what you're doing.
No, I know that. So,
That's the point.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Councillor Nathan's saying. Because I've been watching this ambulance programme on television up in Manchester, is it, or something like that. You know, it's no different up there. A number of people waiting for ambulances. A much bigger area called Hill. It's a much denser area, I would phrase that. In terms of the meeting, is it because you're trying to get everyone in the same room? Could we consider a Zoom or something?
It is a Teams meeting.
Or Teams or whatever.
Because we just don't think we'll get everybody in.
No, okay, that's fine. But I think also, from a not a, I mean, I'm not being a customer of service, but you know, a response point of view is, you know, I have phoned up 999 3 times this year for various things I've seen, and I've been astounded by the response at the other end. It's basically not even describing the problems, it's, oh, we're so busy, it's going to be at least an hour. You know, I mean, instead of having a heart attack or that sort of stuff, which worries me intensely, and I think they're being pressured, they're under massive pressure as well, because they've got the ambulances in the right place to do whatever, and so I don't know what the answer to this is. The trouble is we've had them before, haven't we? Several times. We've had the meeting in Kennington, didn't we, with Hancock?
There's a whole load of
lot of talk, but no answers.
One of the big problems is the ambulances are not very reliable, so they're getting new ambulances, which should help. But they've got a whole fleet of ambulances that were not fit for purpose, or breaking down, had huge maintenance issues, couldn't get spares, etc. So that caused part of the problem. But there's another.
Thank you. Yeah, there are so many issues around this, and Councillor Mason raised the fact that ambulances are stacked at Addenbrooke's, which they are, and at the West Suffolk Hospital as well. Some of that, people are calling ambulance, so they don't necessarily need an ambulance, but eventually they will come, and oftentimes they're taken to hospital. They are unnecessary journeys. What Councillor Brown said about the unreliability of the ambulance fleet is absolutely shocking. There are skilled paramedics who are going into work here in Haverhill to collect their ambulances at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they are unable to do so because the ambulance has broken down. They may sit for 4-5 hours of their day at work because they are unable to get into an ambulance and go and do the job that they are being paid to do. This has happened time after time after time. One of the ambulances caught fire coming down Clements Lane. So there are massive problems, they're huge, and how they're going to be resolved, I just don't know. Our ambulances are being positioned in Cambridge for category 1 because Cambridge is a much bigger area, so therefore when you have your ambulances there you are meeting your times that you're supposed to. So we're being short-changed constantly because our ambulances leave the station here and very rarely return until maybe 1 o'clock in the morning from a 10 to 10 shift, oftentimes 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. This happens constantly. But I don't know how we're going to resolve those issues. If the ambulances, the rapid response vehicle was here, removed, brought back, and removed again. Why? There are so many issues. Health issues, doctor's appointments, all of it. Mental health issues take up sometimes 5 and 6 hours of 2 paramedics' time. All of those things have a knock-on effect to the ambulance, to the service that is available to us. So, you have it.
Councillor Humphrey.
It's always refreshing to hear the problems firsthand from other councillors who have direct experience. I'm not interested in problems, quite frankly. This meeting is to establish what they're doing about problems, not what the problems are, what they're doing to meet their targets. Not targets I've set or you've set, targets they have set in agreement with the government. I want to know from them what they're doing, and in order to do that, we need to have a meeting. I don't want the excuses, I want the solutions.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Yeah, I fully agree with what Councillor Andre is saying. You know, there's people there that get loads of money at the top there, and they should be there thinking about how they're going to fix the problem, not just let it, the problem increase. That's what's happening. They should be there and getting paid for it to sort out this problem. And quite right, you know, that's the questions that should be asked. How are they going to do it? Fully agree with Councillor Andre.
Well, we can all agree that, you know, the ambulance situation is a problem in the town, and it needs to be sorted, and that's exactly why it's on the agenda every time. Okay, so it is kept front and centre of the mind, and we keep pushing hopefully pushing the right buttons to get something actually done. Okay, thank you. 9C then, County Council report. We had the usual very detailed report from Councillor Mason. Thank you very much for that again. Is there anything extra to that report you need on it, or is it just reiterating?
It's almost like you don't want me to
comment on the report. I know we read your report, it's very interesting. You know, is there anything you want to add to it?
Well, I'd like to share some good news. It's a public meeting.
And
some people might.
I just wait.
I don't intend to read through the whole report, if that's all right, Chair.
Yeah, no, carry on.
Expect that in every meeting, if you don't mind. There'll be just a few points I'd like to pull out from there. Okay, firstly, highways. So some good news. Craigers Lane, the total bill is more than £80,000 of unplanned money that Suffolk County Council, with a contribution from West Suffolk Council, have put towards it. Already, it's much improved. This week, highways are returning, and they will finish off some of the patching where the resident had the unfortunate accident, but also at the end of Recreation Road on Mill Hill, the entrance at the other end of Baker's Lane. I am in discussions about whether we can secure some funding for some lockable bollards to prevent it being a run-through, but that would still allow the dray lane access to the ex-servicemen's club. But it is a marked improvement, and has been responded. I've had a positive response from the community for that. Members will remember that Norton Road wasn't quite finished. I've got a date for that, 22nd of November. And a long-standing issue on Greenfields Way. Councillor Paula Fox, I think David Roach suggested, Councillor David Roach suggested it was nearly 6 years ago, allocated some funding. Yeah, Councillor used locality funding for the bus stop on Greenfields Way. I cannot express how difficult this has been to get over the line with legal issues, land ownership issues, costings, design issues, and they're building it right now. And it's going to allow access to the doctor's surgery, so it's going to be accessible, and there'll be a bus stop there. Funding has run out for some additional drop curves, which I would very much like to see, so that people can cross over from Greenfields Road towards Norton. There is a chance that there may be some funding for that, but I don't want to say anything more about that at the moment. But that would be good if we can put it on. I was invited into the banking pub today on the High Street. It looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure that residents are much relieved already seeing it on the High Street, and it should be open by the end of the week. And other than that, I'm willing to take any questions or answers. But I'll stop there, Chair. Thank you.
Any questions for Councillor? Councillor Brown.
Just like to say, well done for Quakers Lane.
Yeah.
That was a well done, Jay. People have been trying to get that done for years, so you know, that's, I don't know how you've done it. What favours it owed you at Suffolk County Council?
And the broom and it,
Yeah.
and safety groups.
Yeah, and very pleased about Queen Falls Away. It's something that I've also been involved with Horsham many years ago, but it's nice to see that's finally getting over the line. So, well done, thank you very much. Thank you. 9D is District Councillors. Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, just to say on your report, thank you very much. I don't often speak because it's not this council about what I do as chair of West Suffolk District Council. But it's a great honour, especially the civic service. It was absolutely brilliant. And thank you, councillors, for attending. Town councillors for attending that. And also, one of my two charities is Reach. So it really helped with collection as well for my charities. Because unfortunately, we did have an extra assistant to look at more charities, what we had before. Unfortunately, that had to stop. So my charities won't be as much as what it used to be because we haven't got the staff to arrange it all. But yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Right. Town councillors. We've had Councillor Burns' usual thorough report there again. Updates. Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. So item 9F is for members of the public to speak or make statements or put questions at this time.
Yes, Chair. Regarding the High Street, I would suggest that councillors be very careful of the decision that you all will make, because if you close the High Street against disabled people and many others, you will actually go on to kill the High Street, the business of the High Street, because at the moment it's into a very delicate way at the moment. So you have to now start thinking about the enhancement. How are you going to enhance the footpath area of where pedestrians actually to walk about? But you need to able to consider the possibilities, all possibilities of allowing a vehicle to come up, make a stop, go into the shop and bought what they want and get on their way. Vehicle that parked up for long term, who is not disabled, obviously you can deal with them, and obviously you will have some of the delivery people has to come up that high street as well, because all these delivery people come up to deliver their goods to the shop. So really, you have to think carefully. You can't just come up with a blanket ban to say you're going to block the high street off and not allow any access there. Otherwise, you will just destroy it completely, destroy the whole business there. So you've got to be very careful of what plan we are trying to put into view here, because it's crucial that disabled people have access up the high street with their cars, and other members of the public who want to come in, make a stop, go into a shop, buy something, and then move on. So you've got to find a way of how you're going to deal with all these things. Rather, I live here since 1966, and I see this high street actually destroyed by how Barry St. Desmond, our county council, and Barry St. Desmond destroyed that high street in terms of how they rearranged it. That high street was a wide high street with all the pavement and bollards and everything else, and they come up here and set it up the way in which it is. And now that we're having this new arrangement and new thinking of new concept, be very careful, otherwise you're going to destroy further on the business in this town. So please think about it very carefully. That's what I have to say about it right now.
Thank you very much. Item 10 is the Mayor's report. I've received today. If you've got no questions on it, we'll move on swiftly. Item 11 is the One Haverhill Partnership, and no response by One Haverhill Partnership to the GCP decision to proceed with CSET Phase 2. You've all seen the letter set out in the name of Henry Wilson, which I thought was a very good response. And this is just to note, but didn't go in with any comments to make. Councillor Burns?
Very quickly, I was intrigued by paragraph 2 of if I comment on behalf of the Chair. Lenton is seeing huge growth in housing to the east of the settlement. I'm not aware of any large, massive...
When you drive towards Linton, you haven't noticed the housing
Yeah, but
estate.
that's just one little housing estate. It was planned for 7,000 houses, but that's been cancelled.
Yeah, but there's still an awful lot more than a handful of houses.
Oh yeah, but we don't mention the 4,000 in Haverhill, you see, which...
I write to the chair of Cambridge.
That's
I don't think
right.
I don't think they could care less about how many houses.
Well, no.
So they drive past Linton.
The other very quick thing was the response, and I assume you licensed the council, is that SGD or something?
Eliza is the chair of the GCP.
Oh, okay, he's not the person I used to deal with.
Sure.
I think they're totally wrong there. I think looking at all the plans and everything, you know, and it says it would be able to use buses from Haverhill East Cambridge only use the segregated route bypassing the jam. There's no real jams to Cambridge until you get to Adbrooks. You know, and this is really where virtually that whole thing's terminated round the back. So, and I'm a bit surprised about this. I think it's I think it's a project far too long. And who cares about the Linton Greenway? That's a pedestrian route. You know, we're talking about buses now.
Councillor Burns, Brown.
Yeah, that's am I visible to that? Yeah. We've had these conversations with GCP and all the rest of them for going back 10 years. This should be Suffolk County Council engaging with them and fighting on behalf of Haverhill, writing letters like that was written by, I presume, Colin. Very good letter, by the way. That it should be, yeah. But no, it should be Suffolk County Council. Suffolk County Council should be the ones engaging with them, you know, every week, harassing them, you know, working together to get that in. It's just never seems to happen, unfortunately.
Okay. Item 12 is financial matters. To authorise the following payments list. Another proposal, Councillor Adam, second by Councillor Martin. All those in favour? That's carried, thank you. Second for
You're looking at your own one.
That's very good.
Up on there.
Well, double A. Okay. To know the completion of the external audit and the external auditor's opinion contained therein. So this is just.
Well, of course, those who've read it will notice that their opinion is that they haven't finished. So I was hoping that they would have finished by now, so we would have the actual thing, but obviously that will have to come back again. It's highly irritating that PKF have yet again missed deadlines. I don't know why they get given such a massive contract by the SSSA, which will award the contracts for the audit for our sector. They get 9,000 parish councils to do it. They can't do it. They just don't have the capacity. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, I will raise it through SALC, and that yet again, be careful late.
Perhaps I get paid by the hour, Colin.
Well, quite possibly, yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
Councillor Cox?
I mean, looking at the report though, there isn't anything to be concerned about from what they've written. So, I mean, it's just really the endorsement, is it not?
Well, we don't know yet, because, I mean, they might come up, they haven't finished yet.
But they said it's more just the more closer to the endorsement than what they said. They've actually said is they don't expect to find anything, and they were quite happy with what they've seen. I mean, is that a rough idea of what they've said so far?
That's what they wrote on that.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily expecting that to come back with, because we've been backwards and forwards with all sorts of questions. Now, we submitted this on time, and it's interesting, they say by September, they've actually covered their tracks a little bit in terms of, oh yes, we submitted it by the end of September, which is the legal requirement. Yeah, actually, their deadline was the 1st of July, and we submitted it before the 1st of July. They've had it months.
And do we need to, within this, do we need to do anything in support of yourself?
No, there's nothing to do. Well, hopefully we'll get it back. The last I heard, it's with the engagement manager. Quite what the engagement manager does.
I don't know. It's black and white, it's either right or it's wrong, isn't it? I mean, actually, you do part of what we've seen so far is okay, but they haven't looked at the camp with £1 million.
Are we tied to this auditor, or should we next year consider appointing another auditor?
Well, external auditors, i.e. it's appointed externally to us, so it's imposed upon us by the National Audit Office through the small statutory sector authority. So there's nothing you can do.
Well, we could complain to them, but we're
we
not satisfied with the
will.
performance.
Absolutely will do complain, yes again, because this is year in, year out. We weren't affected in previous years, but I know loads of other councils were affected last year. It just happens to be, for some known reason, our term, and I really don't understand giving ours in earlier than last year. So yes, there's nothing we can do about it. We can't choose a different way.
So yeah, that was just to note, and that's duly noted. I can see then again is to note that in accordance with the regulations, the notice of completion of audit has been placed on the notice board and website within the prescribed time. Okay. Again, to note, duly noted. Item 13 is the adoption of the committee reports. Not 13A is the planning committee to move the adoption of the minutes of the meeting held on 7th and 22nd October. Follow, but did that follow?
They have followed, yes.
And any recommendations contained therein. So, I'll propose it. Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Andre. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 13B is the Finance Working Party to move the adoption of the minutes of the meeting held on the 21st of October 2024. Again, you should receive as well now. Yeah. And any recommendations contained therein. So, proposed by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Burke. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you very much. Item 14, any actions taken on delegated powers? None. 15, provisional meetings calendar for 2025, which has been circulated. So
Yes, I know that Council wouldn't have had a chance to check the diaries on this. If anyone picks up anything that's an issue.
6 hours.
Okay,
I'll just give you the paperwork.
yeah, I'll pass it to you.
It's good to go for Wednesdays.
Might be a clash with
Yeah.
Suffolk licence.
I've got a Suffolk licence in there. What day is that?
If you notice anything, ping them through so we can adjust them. These are only provisional because we don't get West Suffolk dates.
I haven't done my usual thing comparing to West Suffolk.
I didn't see that.
Thank you for reporting that.
Councillor Andre, sorry.
When it's amending, could we just change the meeting dates at the top to 25? I know it's down.
Oh,
We're all being presented.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
So, what's on me?
Okay, so just just for noting.
That's only for notice.
That's for noting. Okay, duly noted. Right, I don't think the next meeting is tonight.
I think I did, yeah, whatever it is.
I'll tell you when it is.
2 months time.
25th of November. 25th of Monday. That's a Monday. 25th of November. 20th of Monday.
Yep. And we hope to do the Community Trust AGM
Slightly
before or afterwards.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Item 17 is the closure and at 2014.